female frontwoman of a metal band. Like, my sex shouldn't have anything to do with it, right? But that's just, you know, that's what people see, right? If you are going to do it as a woman, you got to do it bigger and better than all the men can do it, because they're gonna judge you immediately. And even all the women too. Just everyone comes in with a sense of judgment sometimes, and that's very stressful, but it's the reality of any entertainment industry. I always feel like I have to straddle this fine line of, okay, I can be an artist, I can be like provocative in my image, but I can also, you know, be very provocative and intense and in my artistry, like the actual music part. It's this internal struggle that's created by the entertainment industry and then this scenario in itself. So I always try to make sure that when I go out there, I'm on my own line, that I still feel respected in, but still feel like I can demand the attention that is required when I get on that stage. The attention that comes from respect, I think. All those things, all those voices, all those opinions, they shouldn't define you, they shouldn't get to you, but sometimes they do. Not everyone's perfect, not everyone's this hard shell all the time. Sometimes they really hit your soul. But when you feel or build yourself to be strong enough to combat those things, that, like, I think that's my responsibility now, to not let that trash get into my head, or because that's all it is people wanting to put you down or get into your head. Especially, like, okay, if the only reason why people say those things is because they are either hurting inside themselves or they want you to fail.
But the owner of the venue ended up kind of questioning the fact that, you know, he was like, oh, who's in charge of Old Soul? And nobody else is really around. So I was like, oh, I guess I am. And he was like, no, who's in charge of Old Soul? And I was like, hi, I just said I was, you know, like, and I'm not in charge. Like, we're a collaborative. But I was like, yeah, I can help you out. I work in the band. And he didn't take me seriously, and then when he finally realized I was the only person around, he was just like, all right, fine. And then he gave me the drink tickets, and, you know, it was very hesitant. With mainstream artists, there's a lot of separation, you know, being surprised by the fact that there are females, you know, in the music scene, which we've always been here, by the way. There's never been a lack of women or non-men musicians, but I feel like, you know, when we're thrown into situations like that, I feel like I'm not taken very seriously. We're all people, you know. When I get kind of surprised because, like I said, we're not around a lot of people who, you know, point out, it's like, oh, woman, you know what I mean? They're very accepting of whoever's there. I feel like a person most of the time when I play in our scene, but there are just, you know, those occasions where I get confused, rather, because it doesn't make sense. We're all people.
A lot of times when our band goes into venues as an all-female band, people expect one thing. They expect you to be like some frou-frou pop band or like some whatever singer-songwriter thing, and then it's rare that we actually get the same respect that we receive after our set than before our set. We'll go into the show and people will be giving us like funny looks or like telling us how to set up our equipment, how to do all this dumb shit. And then after we perform, suddenly they're like, oh my God, you're so amazing. Like, you know what you're doing? It's like, yes, we know what we're doing. Like, it would be nice if people would give women the respect they deserve right off the bat. Like, there are things that men say to us that I feel like they would not say to male bands.
So, it's like this one time I can remember I went to a local show just to support my friends. I wasn't playing or anything. And I play guitar, and like I love super crazy pointy guitars, and like I worked at Guitar Center for 2 years, which I was just like super nerding out and would learn everything I could about, you know, any guitar, well, or specifically metal guitars. And I remember going up to a guy and I was like, hey, that's a really cool Xiphos that you were playing. And he was like, oh, I'm really surprised that you knew what that was. And, you know, like if a dude had walked up to him and said, wow, yeah, I really like, you know, that was really cool, like he would have, you know, wouldn't have batted an eye and be like, oh yeah, like, you know what you're talking about.
it depends who I'm out with. When I tour with Spires, sometimes we get really shitty sound guys that like try to explain, not just to me, but also to my male bandmates, like, here's how you use your gear. And we'll be like, no, you're wrong, first of all. So, I mean, I think in that case, it's more like I have to prove myself because I'm a small band.
It's very frustrating. It's like, I know how to use my stuff. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm not just some, you know, random person. Like, I know what I'm doing.
This is a little bit more, I was a little younger and not in Boston yet, but like I've definitely had people be like, wow, you were like better than I thought you would be. And I'm like, oh.
So when we go to other places, it's kind of like a hit or miss, it depends. We played at this bar called the Black Squirrel in Washington, D.C. And I remember when we were setting up, there was just a bunch of drunk guys who were just like regulars at the bar, it appeared, and they were just kind of like shouting in between songs, being like, yeah, baby girl, like, yeah, you rock, like, ooh, come over here, like, oh my God, it was so crazy.
These guys were like old enough to be my dad. There were like 3 or 4 of them, and they were just like, they would like see me and they would walk by and like squeeze my arm and say like, keep up the good work, and like they were trying to be really encouraging, but they were so touchy-feely, and it's like, what the fuck makes you think I want to be touched by you? And so I was like, I fucked with them a little bit because they were like, oh, I'm really old, I'm probably old enough to be your dad. I'm like, oh yeah, wow, you are like my dad. That's just to be like fucking gross, like, let me put that in your head, now don't touch me. And they're like, but I'm not your dad.
It's not our job to prevent men from looking at us. It's their job to be respectful. Like, no matter what we wear, no matter what makes us feel good, we deserve to portray that to the world. It's the men and the boys who need to like restrain themselves, you know? It's like, it's not fair if we feel good walking out with like a short skirt or whatever, and a guy's like, oh, you're wearing a short skirt, you're asking for it. It's like, I'm wearing a short skirt because I'm proud of the way I look and it makes me feel good. No one is ever asking to be harassed, ever.
People who have like dated members of my band have assumed that because I'm a girl and I spend time with them means that like I'm a threat to them, and it's happened several times over our existence as a band. Like, I've been like pointed as the problem of a relationship when it's just like because I exist amongst men. You know what I mean? It's really strange.
You can either fight the system and like think that it's going to be an attack on you because you're a woman, or you can like kind of play the system a little bit. I didn't very often feel like I had to prove my metalness or whatever because I was a girl.
So part of me, when I walk into a place and I'm disrespected right off the bat, I try not to let it get to me, because I know that after the set, they're gonna be completely opposite. And it kind of makes me feel like, well, you know, thanks.
A lot of people have to work a little bit harder to be heard and respected. But I think that I've come to the point where I'm like, that's not, whatever dialogue is happening in that context, it's not going to define me as a musician. You know, I define myself, and I do what I want because it makes me happy, it makes me excited. So I honestly, I try to like, I don't really think about it that much anymore, but I know it exists. And I know that it is my responsibility as a woman to talk about it and to educate people like, hey, that's not okay to see a woman as a possession or as like you're gonna entertain me, like you're gonna pleasure me type of way.
I just hope one day I can walk outside and just not have to like look over my shoulder and wonder who's there, you know? That's all. And I want everybody to keep making music and making art, no matter what people tell them, because it's beautiful.
I have people come up to me saying like, you inspired me, and I may think, oh man, that was like my worst performance ever, you know, being hard on myself, but at the end of the day, like, the moment I step on the stage, I am a source of inspiration for people who may need it at that time. You have to really detach your ego from the stage because it's not about you. I think that women are insanely powerful, and I think that when there is insane power, there's insane opposition and things trying to bring you down no matter what. And I think trusting your gut as a woman in whatever field you're in, do it and define your own everything.